Sometimes you need to rattle the cage. Sometimes you need to overturn the tables on the temple steps, right? Sometimes you need to take a stand and speak out. And that's what we do here. We speak out. We speak our truth. We do it politely. We do it passionately because people are suffering and dying needlessly because of low-minded intellectual cowards who've taken hold of the medical system and who don't let anybody else in. It's a crying shame. It needs to be stopped, and, it's going to stop eventually of its own. It's going to collapse under its own weight. The medical system is slowly collapsing here in the United States, and the MDs are scrambling to cover up. They're scrambling. They are scrambling. There's this whole field of medicine called integrative medicine, which is some of the biggest crock of crap I've ever seen. But it's an interesting sociological phenomenon. People involved with integrative medicine have seen the light of naturopathy, and they've taken some of the naturopathic treatment strategies, and they put them together in an ad hoc academic environment, not accredited, of course, by the United States Department of Education, not accredited by the United States Department of Education, and are teaching MDs how to use vitamins and herbs. But they teach the MDs how to use vitamins and herbs not in a holistic manner, but in a reductionistic manner. So the MDs just trade the drug for the herb. They trade the drug for the vitamin. They still don't have a clue about the body's inherent ability to fix itself. They don't have a clue about the vital force. They don't have a clue about holism at all. And yet, this system of education, it's called integrative medicine, is growing at a rapid rate. Why is it growing at a rapid rate? Because the MDs realize that their treatments are ineffective. The MDs themselves realize it. They realize it. You have to. I mean, if you have an open mind and you've been doing clinical work for more than 3 years, you have to see that it's just not working. I mean, the only people that are producing effects, positive effects, are military field surgeons and doctors who work in emergency rooms. They're doing good work because that's the ballpark, that's the wheelhouse of the reductionistic methodology. But when it comes to heart disease and kidney disease and stomach disease and intestinal disease and liver disease and arthritis and everything else, MD conventional therapeutics fail, and they fail miserably, and they fail horribly, and that's why the medical system is collapsing. And so what do the MDs do? They scramble, and they try to force a square peg into a round hole. They try to force holistic therapeutics inside their vantage point, inside their worldview, and it will fail. It will ultimately fail as well. It can't not, because it's the wrong way to do it. You can't do it. You can't be both a communist and a Democrat. You can't. You can't do both. It's one or the other. You can't be a Buddhist and an atheist. You can't be a Hindu and a Muslim. You can't be a born-again Christian and a Roman Catholic. You can't. Because they're diametrically opposed in their philosophical underpinnings. And yet the MDs, because, remember, they're like colorblind art critics, they miss this one single data point. They miss this one single data point. The data point that they miss is the holistic philosophy. They believe that medicine is medicine. And that, it's one size fits all and it's the same for everybody. And the type of medicine that they were indoctrinated into is reductionistic medicine. They were trained to believe that the reductionistic method is the only method. And that reductionism rules. And that if you're not reductionistic, you're just not sane. You're in some, Birkenstock, marijuana, la-la land of nonsense. Which couldn't be further from the truth. Reductionism, the reductionistic worldview that the MDs are taught, the reductionistic scientific medical view that the MDs are taught, is just one piece of the pie of medical science. It's just one piece. But the MD actually believes that it's the only valid piece, and so they try to fit everything else into that worldview, and they can't do it, and they fail. I mean, imagine how bad your rabbi would be if your rabbi all of a sudden tried to espouse Buddhist teachings inside of the Jewish canon. Imagine that. They'd mess it up. It would be this half-baked weird thing. And so it goes with the MDs. Their therapeutics are failing. They know that they're failing, and they have absolutely, positively no idea what to do about it. Because they're closed-minded, intellectual dinosaurs. And it's only a matter of time until they die. It's only a matter of time until their therapeutics implode. And then, the nature paths rise into ascendancy because it's only a matter of time. But what do you want to do? Do you want to wait 150 years for that to happen? I don't think so. You want to be on the tip of the spear. You want to be on the crest of the wave. You want to be where the action is at. That's where you want to be. That's where you need to be right now. And that's right here on this radio show that's with Youngevity. Because believe it or not, Youngevity brings to the table the best that money can buy, the best research, the best clinical methodologies which actually produce results regarding supporting and promoting the body's ability to optimize its structure and function. Well, why is this? Because Youngevity's therapeutics are based on Dr. Wallach's $25 million of federally funded research and decades of clinical experience. I think Doc has, 50 years of clinical experience now? You got to be kidding me. There's nobody in the world that has as much research experience and as much clinical experience as Doc. There's nobody. Oh, and by the way, in the field of science, especially medical science, you're either a lab rat, research monkey, or you're doing clinical work. There's very few physicians that do both. Very few. I don't know of any besides Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach's the only one I know that has a foot placed firmly in both worlds. And this is why Dr. Wallach's therapeutics are so remarkably effective. And it's kind of a disconnect for people, because we've been enculturated to believe in the myth of the MD. We think that the doctor knows best, and they don't. But we also have been enculturated to believe that healing is a complicated, sophisticated thing, right? That healing is a complicated, sophisticated thing, and it is not. Surgery is. If you want to try to pull somebody's liver out of their body or an infected kidney or even an infected tonsil, you better have medical training and you better do it in a sterile facility. You better know what you're doing. You better have sophisticated training and do it in as high-tech of a facility as you can find. But healing is easy. Why? Because the body wants to fix itself. The body has intelligence. The body has a vital force. The body has a desire, an innate, God-given, built-in mechanism to fix itself. So you don't have to figure it out. You just have to support it. You don't have to figure it out. You just have to support it. I mean, when you get into your automobile in the morning, do you have to know anything about the intricacies of the internal combustion engine? No. Do you have to know anything about how to make a computer circuit that will, work inside your car and that will talk to the fuel injector and that will talk to the air intake and that will talk to the manifolds in the car? You don't even know what that stuff is. You don't need to know the intricacies of it all. You just trust that it works, turn the ignition on, and step on the gas. You have to know how to turn the wheel and step on the gas and step on the brakes. But that's all that you need to know how to do. You just support the car in its activity. Well, it's the same thing with healing. You just support the body's ability to fix itself. But you have been convinced, brainwashed by a Machiavellian for-profit monopolistic medical system for 100 years to believe that healing is a complicated thing that is best left to the MD. Best left to the MD. And your socialization is so complete that even when the MD's therapeutics fail you, even when the MD's therapeutics bankrupt you, even when the MD's therapeutics hurt you, and even when the MD's therapeutics kill your relatives, you continue to write a medical insurance premium check to gain access to their incompetence every month. And President Obama, in his, genuflection at this same altar, has mandated now that everybody must have insurance, must buy into this failed system. This is how complete the socialization has become. Because not even the President of the United States understands that there is a different way. The President of the United States genuflects at this altar. So what do you think? Everybody does. Well, not everybody. The sad fact of the matter here is that most people who come into our boat don't come into our boat because they've thought it through, or because they're smart, or because they have, open-minded wisdom. They get into our boat because the conventional system has failed them miserably. They're at the end of their ropes. They've taken 17 prescription meds, and they've had 6 surgeries, and they're worse than they were before. They're at their wits' end. They don't know what to do. They know through personal experience that convention doesn't work, so they've just thrown it all overboard, jumped off the burning ship. And, guess what? Even when they're in a bad state of affairs, even when they're holding on to life by a frayed, bitter end, we can help them most of the time. Imagine what we could do if, starting 3 months before people were born onto planet Earth, the mother started nutrifying her body. Imagine what could happen if children, from the very moment of conception, were completely nutrified for their entire life. Imagine what a different world that would be. Well, that's the type of world that I strive for every day, ladies and gentlemen, and I need your help to manifest it into existence. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. Agent Orange was used extensively by the United States military in the Vietnamese War. It's an herbicide, the intention of which was to kill the jungle foliage so the enemy couldn't hide in the jungle and kill U.S. troops. The Vietnam Red Cross reported as many as 3 million Vietnamese people have been affected by Agent Orange, including at least 150,000 children born with birth defects. According to the Vietnamese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 4.8 million Vietnamese people were exposed to Agent Orange, resulting in 400,000 people being killed or maimed and 500,000 kids born with birth defects. Women had higher rates of miscarriages and stillbirths, as did livestock such as cattle, water buffalo, and pigs. The Red Cross of Vietnam estimates that up to 1 million people are disabled or have health problems due to contaminated Agent Orange. Now, in the U.S., it gets worse. Some studies have showed that veterans who served in the South during the war have had increased rates of cancer and nerve, digestion, skin, and respiratory disorders. Military personnel who loaded airplanes and helicopters used in ranch hand, which was the military term for the Agent Orange program, sustained some of the heaviest exposures. Members of the Army Chemical Corps who stored and mixed the herbicides and defoliated the perimeters of military bases, and mechanics who worked on the helicopters and planes are also thought to have had some of the heaviest exposures. While in Vietnam, the veterans were told not to worry and were persuaded that the chemical was harmless. After returning home, the veterans suspected that their health or the instances of their wives having miscarriages or children born with birth defects might be related to Agent Orange. The veterans began to file claims in 1977 for disability payments for health care or conditions they believed were associated with exposure to Agent Orange and dioxin, which was one of the main ingredients of Agent Orange, but their claims were denied unless they could prove the condition began when they were in the service. By April 1993, this is old data, the Department of Veterans Affairs had only compensated 486 victims, although it had received disability claims from 40,000 soldiers. Did your head just explode? Should have. You going to trust your government? Yeah? Well, I'll get a bridge that's for sale. Let's go to Myrna in Denver. She's got a question about Agent Orange. Hey, Myrna, that was for your edification. I appreciate your phone call. You are live.
I noticed that. Thank you. I have a nephew who's 71 who was in Vietnam in the infantry, so he sloshed through the rivers that they sprayed all that in. He, of course, has Agent Orange. Of course, the government didn't help him. It's amazing how he's still going. He has a big belly. His ankle will break out with weeping sores if he has any pressure on it. He, of course, has parasites, constipation. He's only on one medication,
Simvastatin? Yeah, Simvastatin. Yeah.
And his cholesterol's only 200. He is very interested in starting this program, and I used to be a CN, and I had given him other ideas, and I'm relearning everything, it seems like.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's trying to stay off of nightshades.
Well, we need to do a whole lot more than that. But first of all, let's give a great big Fire Your MD Now round of applause to both you for having the open-mindedness to look outside of the stuff you were educated in, and him for his service to the country. Appreciate it very much. A great big Fire Your MD Now round of applause for Myrna and for a 71-year-old veteran of the United States Armed Forces. So here's the deal. Exposure to nasty crap, whether it's pesticides or Agent Orange or crap in the air, crap in the food, crap in the water, God only knows what they put in there, has a marked negative effect on your liver. It's your liver's job to try to detoxify that crap, to deconstruct the molecules so that it can't hurt you. So these substances put an undue strain and burden upon the liver, and they also chew up nutrients which the body needs in order to deconstruct the molecules, and they will overwhelm the system until the body becomes nutritionally deficient, and then the liver is unable to detoxify anymore, and then you are in a world of hurt. Stick around, Myrna. It's a hard break. We're coming to the rescue. When we come back, I'll dial this in for you. I appreciate your support. Stick around, folks. This is Fire Your MD Now. Back, ladies and gentlemen, finishing out today's episode, Thursday, the third day of April 2014, worldwide free webinar tonight. 165 people already registered for it. We have an unlimited room, so, go to the website. Click on the You Are Invited to Attend button right there at the top of the homepage of fireyourmdnow.com. That's fireyourmdnow.com. And join us tonight for an eye-opening expose on the utter failures of conventional medicine and the unheralded successes of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. And yes, the intention of this webinar is to make your head explode. Let's go back to Myrna and see what we're talking about. So, Myrna, does this guy, this Vietnam vet, have any definitive diagnoses like high blood pressure or arthritis or heartburn or anything at all?
Not that he's saying. I talked to him today, and he says he really feels pretty good, and that's amazing because he runs a limo business in Aspen, so he is running around a lot, has to eat out every once in a while.
And he's got, so really the only thing he has is the skin stuff?
It's the belly, and it's the parasites, the constipation.
Okay. So here's the recommendation. Do you know what his body weight is?
240.
All right. So here's what I would do for 90 days. 2 healthy digestion packs a month, 4 bottles of selenium. 2 healthy digestion packs a month, 4 bottles of selenium, and 2 bottles of Maquis Plus, MAQUI Plus. 2 Maquis Plus, 4 selenium, and 2 healthy digestion packs a month. Plus, advise him about the 10 bad foods.
I sent that to him.
All right, and he needs to, slowly wean himself off of that stuff. And it's a lot easier than you think, even if you do eat out a lot. I used to travel a lot, not so much anymore, but for the last 4 years, I was gone a lot, 2-3 times a month for 2 or 3 days at a time. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to follow the 10 bad foods list when you're out and about, but you can do it. You have the hamburger, not the bun, right? You have the salad without the dressing. You use lemon oil or salt and pepper, whatever. So he can do it if he puts his mind to it. And he should look to see what happens to his mood, his energy, and, of course, his skin for over the first 90 days once he starts the program, and help him to dial in the appropriate dose, because the appropriate dose for him will be extremely important. Does that sound good, Myrna?
So 2 healthy digestion pack, 4 bottles of selenium, and 2 Mackey Plus.
For 90 days. That's right. A month for 3 months, and plus eliminate the 10 bad foods. And have him give me a call somewhere around week 5 or 6 with a report. I would really look forward to that.
Okay.
All right, Myrna, thanks a lot. We got to move on here, folks. Terry in Orlando, Florida, is up to bat next. Hey, Terry, thanks for the phone call. What's up?
Hey, it's nice to talk to you. I've got a situation. I just learned a lot about a lot of different things from you and from Dr. Wallach. I have a heart problem. I was born with it, but now I have a pacemaker. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I've got every 7 years I got to change out the battery. Now, before I used to believe everything that my doctor said, and whatever he told me was, gold. Yeah. But what I've learned, I'm kind of worried, because the last thing he told me was now he might have to change out one of the extra wires, and it could be an infection they have to deal with. And from what I've learned from you guys is that could be very dangerous.
Well, it could be, for sure. Anytime you have to open somebody's chest up, or, even just do any type of surgical procedure to the heart, I mean, that's not the best thing in the world for anybody to do, even though the technology has advanced a lot. But in point of fact, however, the pacemaker hasn't gotten to the root cause of why the heart was beating erratically in the first place. It's like painting over the mold in the basement. Well, you don't smell the mold anymore. You don't see it, but the water intrusion is still there, and it's only a matter of time until something else breaks, right? So from our point of view, whether surgery is necessary or not, and even if surgery is necessary, sometimes it is, right? It's much, much better to go under the knife with a body that's nutrified and strong than with a body that's under-nutrified and weak. I mean, your chances of a successful outcome go up exponentially when you get on board with the medical nutrition program. And I can't tell you how many times people have, surgery that's absolutely necessary. My nephew, for example, years ago, he was a landscaper, had a landscape business. And he was using a weed whacker, or doing something crazy, a lot of physical stress. And his Achilles tendon, the tendon that attaches your calf to the bottom of your foot, ripped right off the bone. And his calf muscle rolled up into his leg. I mean, it was a complete tear. So, of course, that needed surgery. And they went in and they did a great job with surgery. And they told him, 9 months recovery time or whatever. In 2 months, 3 months, he's back on his feet, 100% recovery. The surgeon had never seen anybody recover that quickly from this type of a procedure before. And he was awestruck. And that's the type of thing that happens when you really do need surgery, but you go under the knife with a body that's completely nutrified. So either way for you, Terry, this is like never fail fudge, right? Because, there's no way that this protocol cannot work. So now we might get lucky here, and if there is a secondary infection that's happened because of the presence of the pacemaker, well, then what our therapeutics do is support and promote the structure and function of your immune system. So we give the immune system a leg up, and maybe it's possible that the body kicks it out on its own and life is good, right? So either way, this is like never fail fudge, and which begs the question, right? How much do you weigh?
I'm 221 right now.
And how tall are you?
5'10".
Okay, so you're about, 30 pounds overweight?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, the reason that you're overweight is not your fault. You're not lazy. You don't have a stomach that's too big for your body, and you don't have the fat gene. The reason that you're overweight is because your body is nutritionally starved. When your body is nutritionally starved, it knows it's nutritionally starved, and your body forces you to eat food in more than you need in the desperate attempt to fill its nutritional tank. But the food that you're eating doesn't have the nutrients you need, so you eat and you eat and you eat and you eat and you eat, and 3 hours later you have to eat again because you're hungry again, and so you gain weight. So anybody who's more than, 5, I could honestly make the argument that anybody who's overweight whatsoever is nutritionally deficient. And one of the side effects of a medical nutrition program is, even if you're not trying to lose weight, you'll lose weight. Because you have to, because when you fill your body's nutrient tank up, your appetite decreases, and the less calories you eat, the more weight you lose. And so, again, it's like a trifecta here, right? Well, there's a possibility to win 3 times here. So the recommendation for you, Terry, to support and promote the structure and function of the human body would be 2 healthy brain and heart packs, 2 healthy brain and heart packs, 2 bottles of liquid glucogel plus, 2 healthy brain and heart packs, 2 bottles of liquid glucogel plus, and 2 bottles of Killer Biotic. 2 bottles of Killer Biotic a month. That's 2 Killer Biotic, 2 liquid glucogel plus, and 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month for 90 days, plus eliminate the 10 bad foods. When you do this, you just want to pay attention, of course, because it's a holistic therapeutic to how you feel, right? Your mood, your energy, your sleep, everything. Sex drive, appetite, weight, whatever. And then, about 6 weeks into the program, have some more blood work done to check on your immune status and see whether or not your body's getting on the other side of the infection, because that's a relatively easy thing to determine with blood work. So keep your fingers crossed also. I certainly hope that you don't need to have the extra surgery. We might get lucky here. So eliminate the 10 bad foods. Get on board with these supplements. Keep your fingers crossed. And call us back with a report. Call us back with, anything that you need, any help that I can give you. I'm happy to, as we move down the road into the undiscovered territory of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Thanks a lot for the phone call, Terry. Lee in Utah is up next with a question about chemotherapy. Hey, Lee, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Good afternoon to you. I have 2 issues that I'm working with. A nephew's only 45 years of age, supposedly very healthy and everything. When his father died, all of his brothers went in and had a checkup, and come to find out, he had cancer. They have been giving him chemotherapy. I didn't learn about it until he had already had 7 treatments. He's told me I got him on OxyFX plus EFA, selenium, tangerine, and Z radicals, and so forth. But the trouble of it is, he's told me that 5 days he throws everything up, and so he isn't getting anything in there of any significance. And he was hoping that he would see an improvement in his blood work and such, but that didn't happen, and he was pretty disappointed. I told him that it wasn't because he had the products, but that he was still going ahead with the chemotherapy. But then day before yesterday, he told me that he's wondering what's going to happen, because he's apparently they've told him that he has neuropathy in all of his extremities, that his nerves endings have been damaged by the chemotherapy.
Right.
And tell me about, I did a little research on it and thought the closest thing I could come up with was transverse myelitis, but that doesn't fit the cancer cause. damage to the...
No, this is definitely a chemotherapeutic action, and if you review what they did to him, they would have at some point in time before he started chemo made him sign a legal document which releases the doctors in the hospital from any harm done from side effects of the chemo. They never give chemo unless the patient signs a release, and it's the rare patient that reads the whole thing through. And the fact of the matter is that the chemotherapy doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I told him that.
It doesn't work. And, you know, the MDs have sold him a false bill of goods. They upsold the benefits of the program. They downsold the negative effects. And now that he's suffering from the negative effects, they're just throwing their hands up into the air and saying, oh, well, you know, you've got cancer, and that's a great big voodoo daddy, and it's hard to treat. And meanwhile, he took the wrong dog to the hunt, man. I don't know what to tell you. He took the wrong dog to the hunt. There's very little we can do here, because not only is it illegal for us to treat cancer, but now when we're intervening with medical nutrition just to try to give his body a little bit of support, not only do we have to deal with the process that made the cancer happen in the first place, but now we have to deal with the net negative effects of the chemotherapy. And, you know, what the heck, man? I don't know, Lee. At some point in time, we just have to leave the dead to bury the dead. If this guy had come to us before, you know, and he had asked the doctor the 10 hard questions about chemotherapy, he never would have done it in the first place. At this point in time, I just have to throw my hands up in the air and say, oh, my God, how bad does it have to get before we all see the light? 186 people registered for tonight's webinar so far. 186 people. And that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. You got to love that. That's a good number, eh? 186. We're going to break our record, which is, I believe, 192. Easily we're going to break that. You want to join? You want to have a lot of fun? It's a free webinar where I lay it all out in sequential order. The problem with the delivery of medicine right now and the solution. All inside of 60 minutes, and very entertaining. There's going to be over 200 people from all around the world. Check it out, drglidden.com, fireyourmdnow.com. You are invited to attend. Click this link to attend today's webinar right there at the very top of the home page, fireyourmdnow.com. Hope to see you there tonight, 8 p.m. Central Time. Dora from California is back with a clarification for yesterday. Hey, Dora, what's up?
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Good.
I wanted to double check on the when should I get off this blood pressure pill? I see the doctor on the night of Wednesday. Should I tell him then that I'm going to stop taking it?
Well, what I would do, Dora, is I would continue to measure your blood pressures every day.
Uh-huh.
And when you see the numbers start to come down, and they're coming down, you know, every 2 or 3 days, they get a little bit lower.
They are. They are.
Then that's when you withdraw from the meds with professional supervision.
Okay, what numbers should I be looking? The last couple of days have been 162, 150.
Okay, so
88.
The top number needs to be under 140.
Oh, under 140.
And the bottom number needs to be under 90.
It's 88 and 85, the bottom
But
number.
both numbers need to be reduced. So both numbers need to be reduced. So when you're below 140 over 90, at that point in time, I would seek the counsel of a medical professional and withdraw from the meds. But while you're doing that, of course, continue to measure your blood pressures.
Yeah.
Because we want to see it come down, and we can do it here. With the proper intervention. So 140 over 90 is the upper limit of normal. As soon as your numbers hit that
90,
mark, then you're good to go.
90 was high.
No, your MD is wrong. The MD tells you that 90 is high, but they're wrong. The only reason the American Heart Association lowered that lower number, or they raised the lower number to sell more blood pressure meds. So your medical doctor is incorrect. 140 over 90 is the upper limit of normal. That's what I've relied on for 25 years, and that's what you should rely on, too.
88, 89, so it's getting close.
All right. Well, it's only a matter of time, right? Because you don't have high blood pressure because you have a heart. You don't have high blood pressure because you have blood vessels.
Yeah.
You have high blood pressure because your body's running out of something that it needs, and when we put it back in, lo and behold, the body fixes itself.
Yeah. And I've started taking calcium 4 times a day.
Okay, and you're good with that, and that hasn't given you diarrhea or loose stools?
A little bit.
Okay, then you want to spread it out a little bit more, okay? So if you're getting a little bit of diarrhea, then knock it down to 3 times a day.
Oh, okay.
Knock it down to 3 times a day, and you may benefit. I don't know if you can do this, but you may benefit from, instead of 1 ounce 3 times a day, a half an ounce, which is 1 tablespoon, 6 times a day. I don't know if you can do that.
I can try.
Well, yeah, 6 times a day would be better. A tablespoon 6 times a day and a little bit of orange juice each time. And then, here's what I do this, Dora. 1 tablespoon 4 times a day in a little bit of orange juice. And then 1 ounce in a little bit of orange juice immediately before bed. Okay?
1 ounce before bed.
Yeah, 1 ounce before bed and 1 tablespoon 4 times a day. So 1 tablespoon 4 times a day, and then before bed, 1 ounce. I think that's going to be better for you now that I think it through. I appreciate you, Dora. I got to go. Thanks so much for the phone call. 8 o'clock Central Time tonight, folks. Check it out. Worldwide Introduction to Longevity webinar. It's free. Tell everybody in your world about it. Check it out. You are invited to attend right there on the front page of my website, fireyouRMDnow.com. God willing and the creek don't rise, I'm back in the saddle tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. And tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time on the World Wide Web. Until we meet in person, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, wishing you long life and prosperous as well. See you tomorrow. See you tonight.